Shalom, shalom, and peace to everyone. Happy Sukkot, dear friends, and we are in the Sukkah, and we are celebrating Sukkot. This is the week of Sukkot, which in the Bible, if you've never celebrated that before, you may find it under Feast of Tabernacles or Feast of Booths. You could look it up and find verses on that. And last night we had a super fun dinner under the Sukkah. And I have another video, I'll link it here. You can actually see us building the Sukkah and us enjoying the time under the Sukkah. But today is the day we actually do our Bible study for Fridays. And we thought instead of doing our normal Acts Bible study, we'll do that next week. We just thought we'd sit around in the Sukkah and talk about this festival or this feast and all of the places it's found in the Bible, what we've been enjoying and learning about it. We're kind of new to it, so you guys might even know more than we do, and we would love to hear that in the comments. Tell us how long you've been celebrating it, or if you've never celebrated it and you're thinking about it. Just tell us. I mean, what was your guys' experience when we were in the Sukkah last night? And you were here last year for it too, right? Oh, you didn't get to be here last year,
No,
so this was your first one. That's awesome.
It was great. It was, it's comparative to our Thanksgiving where we get together, we've harvested everything, we're being thankful and remembering, all the good things and all the, everything that we had to be thankful for, and that's pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting, and I've also read that it's just not for Jewish people. It's for all of us to reflect, take the time to break bread together and reflect upon, God's goodness and all the things that He has in store for us.
I agree. I mean, if you are enjoying reading the Bible, and if you believe in Jesus, He celebrated
He did.
Feast of Booths or the Feast of Tabernacles, and so, I mean, He celebrated it. Why shouldn't we?
Right.
And it's a great time to stop and remember.
Right. And even though, like, the Old Testament is not written directly to us, it's for our learning. It's a great thing to, it's history. It's our history with God and what He's done for us. So it's really interesting, I find, to just go back and see all of the things that transpired and what we can glean from the Old Testament and just apply it in our lives today.
Yeah, it kind of brings it alive.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, so when you're actually reading something and it says the Festival of Booths, or you're like, wait a minute, I know what that is.
Yeah.
I love that. What other things did you find? Did you find anything else on it?
I know that in one of those videos it talked about our homes and this place on earth for us as being temporary.
Yeah.
And the Sukkot is a temporary dwelling place.
Yeah. In fact, we have it on a permanent structure, which you're not supposed to have. You're supposed to actually have it on a temporary structure,
Right.
which would actually make it a little worse in the wind right now.
Yeah.
Because we'd be wondering if it was going to tip over. But yeah, it's temporary.
But it was a thing that God, put into plan, was that this is temporary. This is all temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Your life on earth is temporary. There's bigger and better things to come for you. So that is just a great thing to keep in mind as well. So, yeah.
Like refocusing on the things that are eternal and not the things that are temporary.
Right.
And that God is going to take care of you in the temporary. If we're in the wilderness, He's going to provide the food for us. He's going to provide, protection from our enemies, protection from the weather, except for the wind at this moment. Yeah, it's pretty cool to just sit in here. Like last night, we just sat and enjoyed each other's company.
It was just really neat.
Yeah.
It was really neat. I think the thing I liked most is, you spend time with people you care about, and we got to do that last night, and it was pretty important. And the other thing I liked about it was you know, the Jewish flags that we put up for Sukkot and the temporary
Kind of a booth, a hut,
booth,
a tent.
festival of booths or tabernacling with God, you know, and it's got to put a smile on his face. It's got to make him happy that not only are we acknowledging by display of the flag of theirs, of the Jews, but that they're his chosen people.
Yeah.
And we choose to follow him,
Yeah.
which he chose them as his people. You know, and it just ties it all together. And I just think I just, you know, even last night when I was sitting there and I just was just pondering on, you know, God and his goodness and his mercy and his grace and his love and compassion. I mean, everybody says, well, the Old Testament, he was, you know, mean and horrible. It's like, no, he wasn't. He wasn't. The people that say that have never read this.
Yeah. What other God who created the earth and was so magnificent would want to come down and dwell with people?
Exactly.
And that's actually the word tabernacle, is to come and dwell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And just to experience that last night and to have this for the whole week, you know, it's a blessing. It's encouraging. It's just a blessing, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. And I just enjoyed it. I'm glad that we did it, and you know, it was so great last night, and we got to play the Jewish music. You know, while we were sitting there. Oh yeah. It was
I'll
really
put
good.
the playlist in the description if you guys want to have a little fun music.
Yeah, I think they'll enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we've only done this part, like we've done it this extreme, and we're not even fully doing it, but we're doing it, you know, a lot more than we did before.
Yeah.
For the last 2 years. This is our second year with actually the pergola, because you just built this pergola last year.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it's amazing that God's timing is perfect. So, you know, he gave us the money and the resources and just everything to make this happen. And it's so awesome that here we are, sitting in a Sukkot.
Yeah.
I mean, how cool is that?
Yeah. It is really cool. Well, and when we first discovered it was probably about 3 or 4 years ago. So, 3-4 years ago, we were actually studying the book of Exodus. When we came to the point where they had been wandering in the desert, and all of the stuff that happens is so amazing. If you haven't studied the book of Exodus, study the book of Exodus. But then God tells Moses to build a tabernacle, because he had been living or dwelling among them in the cloud. There was a cloud, a pillar of cloud, and a pillar of fire. But he wanted a place where they felt safe to come, and he would come down and kind of dwell with them. He already had the tent of meeting where he came and talked to Moses every day. The whole nation would kind of stand by their tents as Moses would walk into the tent of meeting, and then the cloud would come and rest on top of that tabernacle, that tent, and then Moses would sit in there and talk face to face with God, which is amazing. And so then he wanted a place, God wanted a place that the priests could come and dwell with him, and he could have a place to come down. Not that he needs a place, but I think it's a physical representation for us humans who have small minds that can't fully grasp a God that we can't see. And so he had them build the tabernacle. And that you'll find in Exodus. I'm trying to see if I've got some of it. Well, then let's see. I've got a lot of scriptures. You can even just Google if we're missing some, verses with Feast of Tabernacles. But he tells them then that he wants them to have these feasts. And I think, let's first go, I noticed a lot of them in Leviticus 23. Let's go to Leviticus 23. And I mean, I've got quite a few of them. Let's,
Oh, verses 33 is
yeah. So I've got one that's 33 to 34. I've also got 37. I thought there was a 40. Yeah, there's 40. So let's go in all in those 30s. Start with 33. You're going to see the Festival of Tabernacles in verse 33. The Lord said to Moses, "Say to the Israelites, on the 15th day of the 7th month, the Lord's Festival of Tabernacles begins, and it lasts for 7 days. The first day is sacred, a sacred assembly. Do no regular work. For 7 days present food offerings to the Lord, and on the 8th day hold a sacred assembly and present a food offering to the Lord. It is the closing special assembly. Do no regular work. These are the Lord's appointed festivals, which you are to proclaim as sacred as assemblies for the bringing of food offerings to the Lord, the burnt offerings and the grain offerings, sacrifices and drink offerings required for each day. These offerings are in addition to those for the Lord's Sabbath, and in addition to your gifts and whatever you have vowed, and all the freewill offerings you give to the Lord. So beginning with the 15th day of the 7th month," I love how he always repeats it because he knows we're going to forget by the time we get to the bottom of the next paragraph. "After you have gathered the crops of the land, celebrate the festival to the Lord for 7 days. The first day is the Sabbath day of rest, and the 8th day is also a Sabbath day of rest. On the first day, you are to take branches from the luxuriant trees, from palms, willows, and other leafy trees, and rejoice before the Lord your God for 7 days. Celebrate this as a festival to the Lord for 7 days each year. This is to be a lasting ordinance for the generations to come. Celebrate it in the 7th month. Live in temporary shelters for 7 days. All native-born Israelites are to live in such shelters, so your descendants will know that I had the Israelites live in temporary shelters when I brought them out of Egypt. I am the Lord your God." So Moses announced this to the Israelites, the appointed feast of the Lord. So there's some key words there. He wants you to rejoice in his presence. Mm-hmm. The whole 7 days you're required to rejoice. Be happy and celebrate, and it's Thanksgiving, like you said. Mm-hmm. It's Thanksgiving, but times 7, because we do it one day.
Yeah. That's what I wrote here. God wants us to celebrate.
Yeah.
Have joy in your life.
Yeah.
Remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember. That's the other big word, is that he wants you to remember that he gave you a good harvest that year. He wants you to be grateful for the big harvest he gave you. And that's not just food, but that's in relationships, that's in your life, your home. That's, how many other kinds of harvests do you have? Spiritual harvests, that you've gotten closer to the Lord that year. It doesn't have to be financial.
Mm-mm.
Definitely. And let's see, another key word in here. Well, I kept hearing 7 days. So he repeated it over and over. In other words, don't just celebrate and then walk away. No, remember me. Keep this, going. And this actually comes right after. It's part of the fall festivals. We're just going to say that's the wind of the Holy Spirit right there. That's, it's just one of, I think, 3 of the fall festivals. We've had Ram Kippur, which is right now, Wait, am I wrong? Kippur?
Yom
Yom Kippur.
Kippur.
Mm-hmm.
But what's the one before that? Rosh Hashanah.
Rosh
That's the one I
Hashanah.
was thinking of. I mixed it up. Rosh Hashanah, which now they're saying is like their New Year's, but it wasn't always their New Year's in those days. But that is the festival of trumpets, I think, because God wanted them to blow trumpets to kind of be an alarm to wake up the nation to their sin. So that first festival kind of wakes you up and says, have you been thinking about your sin? Have you been thinking about the fact that, you've been worshiping other gods? Have you thought about the fact that maybe you've done some things you need forgiveness for? Or you have a dispute with somebody else, like another relationship, you need to repair that. And then it rolls right into, there's 10 days of awe where the Jewish people are sitting and thinking about that because they got the wake-up call. And then the next holiday is Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. See, they had to be woken up to their sins, and then they had to then go and repent for their sins. And so there's sadness, and there's sorrow, and there's regret, but then there's healing and forgiveness. And so right after all of that, God brings them into this festival of constant joy and celebration.
So it's exactly it.
Yeah. Yeah, he is a good and gracious God. He's
Yeah.
like, I'm going to punish you. It's like a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to punish you because you need to learn. But then, when you've learned it and you've repented and said you're sorry, I'm going to take you to ice cream.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm down with God taking me to ice cream.
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
I'm about that.
Yeah. What other verses are you seeing?
Well, I did all the same verses that you did,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also one in Zechariah 14:16.
Ooh, I don't have that one.
Have to go there.
Okay, Zechariah. I don't go there often, so where are we? Right?
Yeah, exactly. Close to the end of the 14:16. Because there seemed like there was a consequence.
Like if they didn't celebrate it?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
14:16.
I've lost Zechariah.
It says, "Then the survivors from all the nations that have attacked Jerusalem will go up year after year to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, and to celebrate the Festival of Tabernacles. If any of the peoples of the earth do not go up to Jerusalem to worship the King, the Lord Almighty, they will have no rain."
Ooh,
Well, we had lots of rain yesterday.
it's because we were obeying. We had so much rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So
Yeah.
he's basically saying, if you don't thank me for the harvest, then I'm not going to give you rain to give you more harvest.
Right.
Ooh.
Be thankful.
Be grateful and
And
thankful
thankful.
for what I give you.
And remember.
Yeah, say thank you. I mean, every great parent teaches their children to say thank you, right?
Mhm.
I also noticed, I don't have them written down, but where they celebrated it for the first time after being kind of in bondage or in captivity was in Ezra and Nehemiah's time, when they were like, oh my goodness, it's like Nehemiah. I know that story really well because I was studying the book of Nehemiah, and they had come back, like a lot of the people who had been taken to Babylon. They were starting to come back, and the Jewish people were starting to come back to Jerusalem, but their city had been destroyed. And so the first thing they did in Ezra is Ezra led them to build the temple again. But the problem was that all the nations around them would come in and attack them because they had no walls to keep them safe.
Ah.
So that they had this temple. And so Nehemiah actually gets this burden in his heart that the walls need to be up so that they quit getting attacked. And so he actually goes with the permission of the king from Babylon. He goes and actually, is it Babylon? And maybe I'll put it. I'll correct myself if I'm wrong. And he goes with all the supplies to rebuild the walls and everything like that. And they finally, it's forever. I mean, they're getting attacked while they're trying to build the walls. You know, the enemies are really trying to keep them from building these walls. And they finally get it up, and they decide they're going to have this huge celebration, and that all the people of the town come to celebrate, kind of like a little festival. And Ezra, I believe it is, takes out the scriptures, the Torah, and starts to read to everyone. And they stand for hours and days listening to the Word of God. And they come to the part where he tells them they need to be celebrating the festival of booths. And they start weeping and crying because they realize this is the time of year. They're standing in Sukkot. It's the week of Sukkot, and they haven't celebrated the festival of booths for years. And they didn't even know they were supposed to be. So they start weeping, and he tells them, no, this is a time of celebration. We're not supposed to be weeping. We just got the walls built. So everybody go home and build a booth. And we are going to celebrate the festival of booths. And so you can find that in Nehemiah. And I guess there's something in Ezra from that as well. So just some really neat things. Jesus himself celebrated. You can find that actually in John. I think it was John 7, chapter 7, if you guys want to go there. Jesus was celebrating the Feast of Booths. And it's verses 2 and 3. Basically, I'm going to read starting in 1. After this, Jesus went around in Galilee. He did not want to go about in Judea because the Jewish leaders there were looking for a way to kill him. So basically, these 3 festivals, God gave ordinance that all Jewish men must go to Jerusalem and worship God for these 3 times a year. There was the festival of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. They were to travel to Jerusalem and celebrate, and that is where you'll find like Passover. The Feast of Weeks, and I think that's somewhere in the spring as well. That's really close to Passover. That might even be Pentecost.
Right where we were at is in my Bible had
At
all of
the
them.
list of them?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the Feast of Weeks, I think, is now what we call Pentecost.
Let me find it.
I think so. Because I was looking at that same thing today.
And then the Feast of Booths, which is the Feast of Tabernacles or Sukkot, is the fall one, and they are required to travel. It's, if you can, you need to travel. So that's why there were so many people traveling to Jerusalem for some of these things that you read about in the New Testament. So when Pentecost happened, the reason why there were so many people from all different nations is because they were required, if they were Jewish, to go to Jerusalem. And so the same thing is happening. And Jesus is like, I'm supposed to go to Jerusalem, and I'm supposed to celebrate the Feast of Booths. However, the Jewish leaders are trying to trap me and kill me. So, verse 2, but when the Jewish festival of Tabernacles was near, Jesus' brothers said to him, leave Galilee and go to Judea so that your disciples there may see the works you do. No one who wants to become a public figure acts in secret. In other words, quit hiding. Go where all the people are going right now. Since you are doing these things, show yourself to the world, for even his own brothers did not believe in him. Therefore Jesus told them, my time has not yet come. For you, any time will do. The world cannot hate you, but it hates me, because I testify that the works are evil. You go to the festival. I am not going to this festival because my time has not yet fully come. Jesus was not ready to die quite yet. And he knew if he went with his brothers that he would end up dying. Now, Jesus does end up sneaking in, so you can read the rest of that. He sneaks in somewhere along here. Anyway, so when you study the festivals, when you come across things like this, you now kind of know more of what's going on. You're not just, going, oh, we went up to a festival, I don't know what's going on. But you know how important this festival is. You know, and you can see what the people are doing. He's probably walking past a bunch of people who have booths in the streets, So he actually can talk to everybody. They're all out of their houses and in the booths. They didn't do it in the backyard. They do it in the front yard. And then the other really interesting thing I love about the Festival of Booths is that in Exodus, when God wanted to come down and dwell with them, he had them build a tabernacle. And you'll find that in Exodus, at the end of Exodus, where God says he wants to come and dwell with them. I'm trying to think where that is. But I don't have that one written. But in John 1:14, this is said about Jesus. The Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. Let's go to John 1:14. We all know that John 1 is that chapter of in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. John is actually proving his divinity and proving the Trinity and proving that Jesus is God, that he was there in the beginning. He was there at the time of creation. He's the one that created the world. So you can read through all of that. But if you get down to 14, it says, the Word became flesh and made his dwelling among us. The word for dwelling is tabernacle. So just like God in Exodus said, I'm coming down and I'm going to tabernacle with you, dwell with you. It's the same word that John uses here to describe Jesus, that he became flesh and made his dwelling. He tabernacled with us. We have seen his glory, the glory of the one and only Son, who came from the Father, full of grace and truth.
In my footnotes, it says the Greek for made his dwelling is connected with the word tent/tabernacle. The verse would have reminded John's Jewish readers of the tent of meeting, which was filled with his disciples by the miracles he performed and by his death and resurrection, grace and truth. The corresponding Hebrew terms are often translated unfailing love and faithfulness, a significant Christian grace, a significant Christian concept, though John never uses the word after the prologue, truth.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He was purposely using that wording to show his divinity, that he was the same as God coming down in the wilderness for the Jews, the Israelites, and it's the same as Jesus came and tabernacled with us. You can find things scattered throughout, like salted throughout the Bible, like Isaiah 64, 1-3 is actually about God coming down. Let me go there. So Isaiah 64, 1-3. Oh, that you would rend the heavens. I don't know what other word do you guys have for rend? That's a word I don't really know.
Hang on a second.
How do you rend?
Let me look in here. Rend the heavens. The sky is compared to a tent curtain.
Oh!
For this and the future description of the cosmic effects of God's coming in judgment and redemption. So rend is like a tent curtain.
So
basically he's going to open up the sky.
Oh, that you would rend the heavens and come down, that the mountains would tremble before you, as when the fire sets twigs ablaze and causes water to boil. Come down to make your name known to your enemies and cause the nations to quake before you. For when you did awesome things that we did not expect, You came down, and the mountains trembled before you. That talks about God coming down, and we know that John talks about Jesus coming down in that same kind of vocabulary. Also, Psalms 113. So it's a short psalm. Do you want to read that, Jay? When you get to
I'm
it?
trying to find it, yeah. What was it?
Psalms 113. But this stayed warm. Yes, it did. This is how you keep your coffee warm.
Okay. Psalms 113. Praise the Lord. Praise, O servants of the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Let the name of the Lord be praised both now and forevermore. From the rising of the sun to the place where it sets, the name of the Lord is to be praised. The Lord is exalted over all the nations. His glory above the heavens. Who is like the Lord our God, the one who sits enthroned on high, who stoops down to look
Down. Yeah.
on the heavens and the earth. He raises the poor from the dust and lifts the needy from the ash heap. He seats them with princes, with the princes of their people. He settles the barren woman in her home as a happy mother of children. Praise the Lord.
See in verse 6 where it says he stoops down to look on the heavens and earth. My notes when I was Googling it were saying that same vernacular or that vocabulary is used when he comes down in that psalm. He came down, he tabernacled.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Looks like I did have it written down. Exodus 40:34.
34.
Yeah.
Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
Yeah, keep going.
Moses could not enter the tent of meeting because the cloud had settled upon it, and the glory of the Lord filled the tabernacle.
So that's the same when his glory came down. Glory came down.
No, it's heaven came down,
Oh, heaven came down.
and glory filled my soul.
Okay.
That's a very old hymn. I'm surprised I know that, and you don't.
Well,
You grew up in the church, not me.
I just always sing songs with the wrong words.
That is true. I always have to correct the lyrics, so it's okay.
Yeah, I do. I sing all songs with the wrong words.
It's all good. It's all good.
Which his glory came down too.
It's quite entertaining.
Anyways, what do you guys
I love
think?
it.
As we wrap this up, what's like your thoughts? What difference did it make?
I just think it amazes me that he bothers, that he even bothers to come down. How huge is that for us? How huge was that for them at that time? But it's still true to this day.
Mm-hmm.
He comes down to meet us.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, he's given us his Holy Spirit after Jesus left. The Comforter will come. We have the Comforter, I get that. But for him to fellowship with us, Jesus calls him the Comforter.
Yeah. It reminds
How many
me
times
of
when
when
we mourn and Jesus comes and comforts us? God is omniscient.
Mhm.
He's everywhere all the time. So that means his spirit is everywhere all the time.
Yeah. And he's
For
with
him
us.
to do that for us, that's huge. We're like the head of the pin of the needle of just the dot.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not even as big as a grain of sand to him, but he still
Yeah.
cares about us.
I mean, there's
Really?
there's billions
How cool
and
is that?
billions and billions of people on this earth.
Yeah.
Why does he care about us?
He leaves the 99 for the one.
Yeah. Why
Right?
does he care for the one? He's a personal God.
Because he's so
Mhm.
amazing. He really does love us.
Yeah.
He does. Fact. We screw up. We ask for forgiveness. He forgives us. He rolls his eyes.
Mhm.
He's like, you did it again. Really? How many times?
How many
Mhm.
times?
And then what does Jesus say? To forgive 70 times 7?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure we've had people that have burned us and we're like, We're not doing 70 times 7. But he says 70 times 7.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, if he has so much mercy and grace to pour out on us, why wouldn't we?
Well, and
You know? He's a good example. The
this
perfect
year is the
example.
first time I see the pattern of the fall festivals being the pattern for our life. He brings you at the end of the year to say, hey, look, you screwed up. He rings the alarm bells, like in the Feast of Trumpets.
Yeah.
He says, alarm. Okay, and then he says, hey, you need to repent. I need to correct you.
Let's reflect.
Let's reflect.
Yes. That's putting it nicely.
And then when you're like, I've repented and God, I want to turn, I want to give my life back to you. He says, okay, let's rejoice for a whole week. You know, like let's, you know, or however long, let's just rejoice in that. Yeah.
I think it was Ray Comfort that said that in his videos that he does when he explains the gospel to people, and he says how much rejoicing is there in heaven for one sinner that comes to Jesus,
Yeah.
that comes to the cross, that asks for forgiveness genuinely, and turns and goes towards the cross.
Yeah.
How much rejoicing is there in heaven?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're not just rejoicing here. He's not just celebrating
No.
with us, but there's a giant. What is heaven doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
We're rejoicing and praising Him.
It's the Feast of Tabernacles in heaven.
Well, I think it's that way 24/7.
I know, but
mean,
do you think it gets a little bit more during?
I don't know. Don't you think your mom is up there on the rejoicing committee?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
I think she is.
Well, and that's like when my church, they do, you know, the baptisms and stuff, and they're like, even if you've already done it, come out and rejoice with us.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Because we're kind of like mimicking on a smaller scale what's happening in heaven. That we rejoice with one another when someone repents and is baptized. And
It's just exciting.
yeah.
So exciting.
Those were some of my favorite services in church. You know, and they were always like we would do one on Sunday and they would go over, and I never cared that they went.
Yeah.
Like, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. You know, I'm not even thinking about that I'm hungry or that it's late or.
Yeah, God doesn't have a stopwatch or a time clock.
Yeah.
No. You're there to enjoy God's presence and seeing people repent, turn, get baptized, accept Jesus, get baptized, and to go under the water, the sins are washed away, come up and renewed as a new person. It's so exciting. I love watching baptisms, man. I
Yeah.
just sit there and watch that all day long.
It is good.
It is. It's just the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Just like when Jesus Revolution.
Oh, that was such
you
a
know,
good movie.
when they were all
Yep.
out in the ocean.
Yeah.
When he says, "Are you ready?" Am I? Yeah.
That was a really good scene in that movie, The
Yeah.
Blind.
Yeah.
When
Oh, they had one of those
Uh-huh.
too? Oh, that's awesome. We got to go see it. The Blind. They were talking about that. What is it? What's his name? Robbins.
Phil Robertson
Robertson.
from
Uh,
Duck Dynasty.
It's his kind of testimony, right?
Right.
We haven't seen it yet. So tell us in the comments if you've seen it. Well, do you guys have anything else that you wanted to say?
I'm just enjoying the Sukkot.
Yeah, we're just hanging
Yeah.
out in the Sukkah.
There's Sukkah, yeah.
Well, I did want to share one thing actually, where it says it's also part of the feast is just to get us to step out of our normal living arrangements.
It's true. Like, even just being out in some fresh air.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you don't have to have a Sukkah. The first couple of years we did it, we just were like, okay, well, let's take our dinner and go have a picnic instead.
Yeah, we didn't
of-
have this.
Yeah, we didn't have this.
But we didn't
just,
have the pergola.
We just took little steps.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just kind of do my devotional outside instead of inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll just, take a walk. Maybe I'll drive with my car windows down and just look at the fall trees or something. Yeah.
Just take a moment, step away.
Just get you out of the
Be
doldrums.
grateful.
You know, the doldrums can just same old routine gets you down. You know, you
Yeah.
gotta get out of that and just look up to heaven and just acknowledge Him.
Yeah.
You know, and just say, man, you are
You're
amazing
so good.
with everything you created.
That's one of the reasons why they have it where you don't have a roof, that you would have like maybe palm branches or something so that you can see the sky above.
Yeah, and the stars
Yeah, and the stars.
at night.
Yeah. So it's really cool.
Because that's revealing His majesty, His glory, and His power, and He created all of that.
Yeah.
That's the best part about it. Just looking up at night and when it's really dark and you don't have the street lights and all that stuff. It's like, wow, there's billions of stars, not millions, billions.
That's when I was in northern Idaho and it was dark.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
It
That's
was
when
really-
you could really see 'em.
Yeah, it was, yes. And it was like, and the dog that was walking with us, because we were going out to see if we could see the borealis, and we were walking and the dog barked and took off, and we're like, okay, we're going back to the house now. We have the flashlight, but it's still really dark.
Yeah. That's when you need God. That's when you need His protection. And that's where they were in the wilderness. They didn't have street lights.
No, that was, can you imagine how dark it was?
Yeah.
It's like, it can get really dark.
Yeah. And it's not like a city out there. They don't know what's
Yeah.
wild out there.
No,
Oh.
it's
Well,
scary dark.
well, happy Sukkot, happy Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Booths, whatever you call it. I hope you can find some way to have a little bit of a Sukkah and enjoy the week and just kind of enjoy His presence. And thank you guys all so much. We just wish you shalom and peace, and that you would just feel His protection and His love this week. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful week. Shalom, dear friends. Love ya.